Hello motivators, my name is Brandon Bullert and I am the Director of Fitness and Nutrition with Team Motivate, sponsored to you by Soldier Water. Now today we're going to make one of my favorite recipes, and that's a meatloaf. Now my meatloaf is a one-stop shop. It has all the macronutrients in it, and macronutrients are your carbohydrates, proteins, and your fats. So my meatloaf, like I said, it's a one-stop shop, has all the macronutrients, and what are they again? Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now I usually use about 2 pounds to 2.5 pounds of meat, and a lot of you know that I am a hunter, so I'm going to use very lean ground elk. And I also, at the grocery store, or actually at Trader Joe's, I get a 96.4 lean beef. So I'm putting that together. I sit there and I just mash it all together, basically like how I'm making hamburgers. Put this all together. Mix in the beef, mix in the elk together. Sometimes I might just use elk, but what I recommend is when you are using a meat, use the leanest meat that you possibly can. And then you can actually make it a little bit more moist by some of the seasonings that you might put in, like what I'm going to put in for you today. Okay, so what I do is I basically make a bowl of the meat inside the bowl. Okay, like so. Now, what I'm going to do now is every pound of meat that I use, I put in 3/4 cup of oatmeal. Okay, that's going to keep everything all together. So I got a half cup here, so that's going to be 3 1/2 cups. I put that right in the bowl of meat here. Alright, then I mix that all together. And this oatmeal is very good. It's a low glycemic index carb, so the oatmeal is going to be released slowly into the system. Has a lot of fiber, so the fiber keeps your satiety level higher, which means that you're going to be happier between meals, so you're not going to be snacking and going for those cookies during this holiday season. Okay, again, I'm going to make this meat and oatmeal all into another bowl inside the bowl. Just like so. My camera guy is going to zoom in on that. Okay, like I said, this is a one-stop shop meatloaf. So what I'm going to put for vegetables, you can put whatever vegetables you want inside the meatloaf. I'm going to put in corn and green beans. I already got them out of the can. I strained them, and I'm literally going to dump them into the bowl of meat. Again, just like you're making hamburgers, just mix all of this together. I tell you what, you can use my meatloaf recipe as just guidelines. You can put whatever vegetables in, like I said, and some of you might be concerned that the meat will actually be dry, but from the corn and from the green beans, it actually is pretty moist. I can feel how moist it is right now, but then when it's actually baking, it all comes together perfect. Okay. So like I said, it's basically like how you're making a hamburger, and now you can add some of your seasonings. So what I'm going to do for one of my seasonings is actually hamburger seasoning. Like I said, it's just like kind of making hamburgers. It's going to take some hamburger seasoning, put that in there until you feel that it's good enough. 11-15 shakes. I like to use dried onions. Put the onions all over inside it. And then Worcestershire sauce, okay? So that 15 times fast. Anyways, so put a few squirts of that in there, and this is actually 50% less sodium Worcestershire sauce. Again, just mix it all together. Now, one of the favorite things that I like to also put in here, and I didn't get them today, but are jalapenos. Sometimes you can get the already pre-sliced jalapenos. Put them in there if you like meatloaf or hot and spicy things. Or what my client told me that she likes to do, she told me this morning when we were training, is that she likes to take the jalapenos, cut them in half, take out the seeds, scoop them with a spoon. Don't touch them with your fingers because it'll start to burn, and you don't want to touch your eyes and get a burning eyes. So watch it when you come to the jalapenos, but it's really good. Again, mix it all together. Now, I already preheated the oven at 350 degrees, 10 minutes. So literally it takes probably less than 10 minutes to actually put all of this together. So like I said, I already preheated the oven. And then a lot of you out there, if you do make a meatloaf, you might use a meatloaf pan. I've never used a meatloaf pan because it actually wastes a lot of the meat because I make my meatloaf so big. And what's nice is leftovers. Meatloaf can be served cold or warm, however you like it. Okay? So basically got a cake pan right here. And I'm literally just going to dump this meatloaf, just like so, in the cake pan. And now I'm just going to create a big loaf. Put it all together. Like I said, I usually do about 2 pounds to 2.5 pounds of meat. And it's great for leftovers. And you can actually see how moist this is. And if you can zoom in on this and just take a look, see how moist it is already from the green beans and corn. And now the oatmeal is going to help suck all that up and end up being a perfect meatloaf. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put it in the oven. It was at 350 for 45 minutes. Now if I do put a spread on top of it, one of my favorite spreads on top of the meatloaf is honey Dijon mustard and barbecue sauce. You mix all that up, and this is if I was going to put this spread on top of the meatloaf. You would stop it at 30 minutes, take out the meatloaf, literally just cake the meatloaf with the honey Dijon mustard and barbecue sauce until you cannot see the meatloaf anymore. Just like a frosting on a cake, put the frosting all over the meatloaf, okay? Or the spread all over the meatloaf, put it back in the oven for 15 minutes, and you're going to be totally done. So, motivators, I'll see you in 45 minutes. Alright, motivators, so the meatloaf has been in the oven for 45 minutes, and like I said, it was at 350 degrees for 45 minutes. Let's take a look-see. Absolutely perfect, exactly like what I thought. So I did not put a glaze on this meatloaf, but if I was to put a glaze, one of my favorite glazes is the honey Dijon mustard and barbecue sauce. You keep it in the oven for 30 minutes, then you take it out at that 30-minute mark, glaze the meatloaf with the honey Dijon mustard and the barbecue sauce, and like you're frosting a cake so that you don't see any of the meatloaf, and then put it in for another 15 minutes. Now during this holiday season, remember, like what I always say, is that we wear our choices and our efforts. So by me even taking out the honey mustard and the barbecue sauce, I'm saving actually hundreds of calories for my meatloaf. So just think smart and be smart, because like you said, like I've always said, we wear our choices and our efforts. Remember, motivators, stay happy, stay healthy, stay motivated, and we wear our choices and our efforts.